In this lesson, we will be going over the time-lapse mode. A time-lapse is a series of photos taken at regular intervals, which are then combined into a video. Because of the GoPro's wide-angle lens, you can capture great-looking time-lapses, which are sure to enhance your videos. Time-lapse recordings are perfect for showing the passage of time, from sunrises and sunsets to clouds rolling through the sky. Within the time-lapse mode, there are 3 different types of time-lapses: the standard time-lapse, the night-lapse, and the time warp. Now, when talking about settings for time-lapses and night-lapses, the most important setting is the format setting. First, tap the pencil icon. Under the format setting, you can choose between time-lapse video and time-lapse photo. If you select time-lapse video, your camera automatically creates the time-lapse video for you. Alternatively, time-lapse photo takes a large number of photos, which you have to edit into a time-lapse yourself using editing software. Using time-lapse video is more convenient as the file size will be much smaller than while using time-lapse photo, as the large amount of higher quality photos will naturally take up more storage space. However, because the individual photos taken using time-lapse photo are of a higher quality, they have more editing potential and can therefore look much better. My recommendation is to stick to time-lapse video if you are a beginner, and use time-lapse photo if you are more experienced using cameras. The next setting to keep in mind is the interval setting, which determines how often your GoPro takes a photo. When shooting regular time-lapses, you can go from 0.5 second intervals up to 60-minute intervals. The basic principle to remember with intervals is to choose shorter intervals for quicker activities and long intervals for extended activities. 1 to 3 second intervals work well for fast-moving clouds, crowds of people, moving traffic, drive lapses, as well as sunrises and sunsets. 10 second to 30 second intervals work better for slow-moving clouds, moving shadows, and capturing the sun moving across the sky. 5-minute to 15-minute intervals work well for construction projects or fast-growing plants. Unfortunately, there is no set interval for filming each and every subject, so it is essential to experiment with time lapses. Shoot for a few minutes to test your settings, and that will show you whether you need to increase or decrease the interval setting. Getting the interval right is key. For example, here you can see the interval is set too high for the subject matter, but when the interval is lowered, the footage comes out better as the shot is smoother and the detail of the clouds can be appreciated. Now, my recommendation when shooting any type of time-lapse is to use the highest available resolution, which in the Hero 8's case is 4K. Onto the night-lapse mode, which is optimized for low light conditions and for taking time-lapses during the night. An extra feature of the night-lapse mode is being able to control the shutter. This setting lets you control the exposure, which allows you to determine how much motion blur passing cars will produce. The darker the subject matter, the longer the exposure time should be. The exposure time must be set according to the interval setting. For example, an exposure time of 10 seconds requires an interval of at least 15 seconds. Now, onto the time warp mode. This mode allows you to capture stabilized time-lapse videos while you're on the move. The setting to highlight in this mode is the speed setting. This setting determines how fast your video is sped up. The higher the speed, the fewer photos are taken and the more stable your video will be. Choose a lower speed for shorter activities like x2 or x5. x5 also works best for drive lapses. And choose a higher speed for longer activities like x10, x15 and x30. x15 is also great for exploring and hiking, or just taking a picturesque run. Alternatively, the automatic speed also works well. The final point to highlight is that when recording a time warp, you can tap this bottom icon to switch to a normal recording speed, meaning you can seamlessly switch between the time warp mode and the normal video mode during a recording, which allows for some creative filmmaking. And that is an overview of the time-lapse mode on the GoPro Hero 8.